She left everything she had ever known: her mother's voice at dawn, the smell of rain on red earth, the warmth of a home that had nothing but gave everything, and she crossed an ocean to build a future worthy of every sacrifice her family had ever made for her. She was a nurse. Trained, certified, devoted. A woman who believed that caring for others was the highest calling a person could answer. She did not come to Dubai to fall in love. She did not come to get rich. She came to heal people and send money home every single month without fail. But someone in that glittering desert city had been watching her, studying her, waiting for exactly the right moment to destroy her. And when that moment came, it came wrapped in surveillance footage, edited lies, and a courtroom that had already made up its mind before she ever spoke a word. This is the story of Ananya Nair, a woman whose greatest crime was being too good at her job and too human in her heart. Welcome to Exposed, True Crime Stories. If this is your first time here, please subscribe to this channel. Every subscription tells us that these stories matter, that the people behind them matter, and that you want us to keep telling the truth. It means more to us than you know. Ananya Nair was born on the 4th of February 1993, in Kochi, Kerala, in the southern tip of India. The second of 3 children in a modest household tucked into a narrow lane not far from the waterfront, where the air always carried the faint smell of fish and coconut oil and something that felt like possibility. Her father, Govind Nair, repaired electrical appliances from a small workshop attached to their home. His hands were always calloused, always moving. He believed in work the way some men believe in prayer. Her mother, Samanthi, was a schoolteacher who rose before the rest of the house to prepare lunches, grade papers, and still find time to braid Ananya's hair before the school bus arrived. They were not poor in spirit. But money was always tight, always counted, always stretched across too many needs. Ananya was the kind of child who read by torchlight after her parents went to sleep. She kept notebooks full of medical terminology she had copied from library books. At 17, she volunteered at a local government clinic and was the only volunteer who stayed after hours without being asked. She studied nursing at the Government College of Nursing in Tiruvananthapuram on a merit scholarship that she earned and re-earned every single year. She graduated in 2015 with distinction and passed her nursing board examinations on the first attempt. In India, even an excellent nurse struggled to earn a salary that could support a family. When the opportunity came to work in Dubai, where the earnings in a single month could match 6 months of wages back home, Ananya did not hesitate. She arrived in Dubai on the 11th of August 2017. 1 suitcase, her credentials, a promise to her mother that she would call every Sunday and transfer money every month without fail. She was disciplined, compassionate, and deeply professional. She believed that integrity was its own reward. She had no idea that in certain circles of this city, integrity could be used against you. Khalid Al-Farsi was 47 years old when Ananya Nair entered his life, and he had spent the better part of those years accumulating things. Properties across Dubai Marina and downtown, a construction company, a shipping logistics firm, and a luxury car dealership in Abu Dhabi. A penthouse on one of the highest floors of a tower in the city that looked out over everything and let him feel, momentarily, like he owned it all. He had grown up with money but had multiplied it through sharp instincts and sharper timing. To the people who worked for him, he was decisive and occasionally generous. To the women in his personal life, he was something else entirely. Khalid collected women the way some men collect rare watches. Not for love. Not for partnership. For the temporary thrill of pursuit, followed by the longer satisfaction of possession, followed eventually by the quiet indifference of a man who had already moved on in his heart before he ever said goodbye. His affairs were not impulsive. They were methodical. He chose his targets carefully. He built trust slowly. He offered exactly what each woman needed most: attention, security, the feeling of being truly seen, and he withheld exactly enough to keep them reaching. His wife knew. She had always known. In early 2018, Khalid underwent emergency gallbladder surgery at a private hospital in Abu Dhabi. His recovery required weeks of professional home nursing care. His physician recommended hiring a private nurse, skilled, reliable, experienced with post-surgical monitoring. That recommendation brought Ananya Nair into his world. Diana Foster was 39 years old, and she was a woman built by survival. She had grown up in Atlanta, Georgia, the eldest daughter of a single mother who worked 2 jobs and still sometimes came up short at the end of the month. Diana had learned early that the world did not hand you anything. You had to reach for it, fight for it, and hold on to it with both hands once you had it. She was brilliant. She graduated from Howard University with a degree in communications. She moved to London for a master's degree in international business. She built a career in luxury brand consulting that eventually brought her to Dubai, where she met Khalid at a charity gala when she was 24 years old. He was charming, attentive, and overwhelmingly present in a room. She was captivating, sharp-minded, and beautiful in the kind of way that made people stop mid-conversation. They married within 18 months. For the first few years, it was close enough to happiness that Diana believed she had found something real. Then came the secretary. Then the yoga instructor. Then the gallery owner. Each time, Khalid apologized in the same bored tone, as if reading from a script he had memorized and grown tired of. Each time, Diana absorbed the humiliation and rebuilt herself within the walls of a marriage she could not afford to leave. She had no independent income by the time Ananya arrived. She had no professional network in the UAE. The prenuptial agreement she had signed at 24, young, in love, and trusting, left her with almost nothing in the event of divorce. 15 years. She had given Khalid 15 years of her life, her loyalty, and her public dignity. And now she was watching, through cameras she had secretly installed throughout their home, as her husband began the most elaborate and emotionally invested affair she had ever witnessed. This time, Diana decided she would not be the one who lost everything. For the first 3 weeks, Ananya Nair was a model professional. She arrived at 6 in the morning. She checked Khalid's surgical site, administered medications on schedule, monitored his vitals, and documented everything in precise, careful handwriting. Her interactions were polite and purposeful. She was not cold, but she was clear. There was a job to be done, and she was there to do it. Khalid was not used to this. The women in his life had always responded to his attention. His wealth, his confidence, the easy way he made a room feel smaller and more intimate than it actually was. But Ananya seemed genuinely uninterested in any of it. She checked his temperature with the same composed expression she used to note his blood pressure. She nodded at his stories with courteous acknowledgement and then redirected the conversation back to his recovery. Her indifference fascinated him in a way that his previous pursuits never had. He began asking about her family during medication time, about her training, about Kerala, which he claimed to have always wanted to visit. Ananya was lonely. The isolation of living in a foreign country, sharing a small flat with rotating shift workers, missing her parents' voices and the particular feeling of home, it was a weight she carried quietly every single day. Khalid's attention felt warm in the way that attention always feels warm to someone who has been without it for a long time. He never pushed. He remembered everything she told him. When she mentioned that her younger brother, Sanjay, was struggling to afford his engineering entrance exam fees, Khalid offered to help. When she declined, he respected it without argument. It felt like friendship. It felt like being seen. Then, slowly, it became more than that. Their conversation stretched past the end of her shift, then past dinner. He told her about the loneliness inside his marriage. A wife who was present but emotionally absent. A life of performance rather than connection. He described a man trapped by his own success and surrounded by people who only wanted what he represented, never who he was. Ananya heard him with the deep, unhurried attention that good nurses give to people in pain. She did not realize she was being read. Diana Foster watched all of it through the cameras she had installed in Khalid's recovery suite and later, in the private apartment he rented for his meetings with Ananya. She watched Khalid's careful choreography with the detached recognition of a woman who had seen this performance before. Except this time, something was different. Previous affairs had been quick, physical, transactional. This one was different. Khalid was investing emotionally in Ananya in a way that Diana had never witnessed. He remembered the names of her family members. He spoke about her with something that approached tenderness. More alarmingly, he had consulted a divorce lawyer. Diana found the consultation notes through a contact she had quietly cultivated over years of suspecting this day would come. The notes referenced asset protection, strategic timing, and minimizing financial exposure in a separation. Khalid was not planning to keep Ananya as a private arrangement. He was planning to build a new life with her. And Diana would be erased from it. The social consequence of divorce in their circles was total. The friends, the invitations, the identity she had built over 15 years, all of it would disappear overnight. And the prenuptial agreement she had signed as a young woman in love would ensure she left with almost nothing in return. Diana Foster sat in the walk-in wardrobe she had spent years filling and made a decision that most people would never be capable of making. She would not be discarded. She began researching medication interactions using public computers at libraries and hotel lobbies. She studied post-surgical pharmaceutical regimens, lethal dosage thresholds, and how accidental overdoses presented in otherwise routine recoveries. She bought reference materials with cash. She read autopsy reports from similar cases with the focus of a woman who had already made peace with what she was planning. She also began editing the surveillance footage. In one critical sequence, she removed Khalid's audio from a conversation where he had pressured Ananya to accept an expensive gift, leaving only Ananya's eventual acceptance, which now appeared greedy rather than reluctant. In another, she edited out Khalid's promises about leaving his wife, keeping only Ananya's responses about their shared future, making her appear to be the one driving the affair rather than the one being pursued. Most devastatingly, she altered footage of Ananya administering Khalid's evening medications, removing the timestamps and audio that would have shown precise, protocol-compliant care, and replacing them with a sequence that suggested multiple doses administered within a dangerously short window. It was not crude manipulation. It was surgical. Each edit was designed to build a single narrative. Ananya Nair as a calculating, financially motivated woman who had allowed personal obsession to compromise her patient's care. Diana held on to the footage and waited for the right moment. On a warm Thursday evening in late June, Khalid told Diana he had a late meeting with contractors. He was at the apartment he had rented for Ananya, marking what he called their 6-month anniversary. Through the surveillance camera she had installed there, Diana watched him present Ananya with a diamond bracelet and a key to a larger apartment in Dubai Marina. She listened as he told Ananya that within a year he would file for divorce and they could be together without hiding. She watched Ananya cry. She watched the relief and the love and the overwhelming happiness in a young woman's face that had been carrying loneliness and hope in equal measure for a very long time. That night, Diana did not sleep. She sat in the living room of the life she had built and felt it all ending, not slowly, not gradually, but completely. Khalid was not having another affair. He was leaving. And the woman he was leaving for was someone who had entered their home as a trusted professional and stayed as something else entirely. 2 weeks later, Diana made her final preparations. She replaced Khalid's prescribed pain medications with a lethal combination she had spent months calculating. She organized the edited surveillance files for rapid delivery to investigators. She prepared the story she would tell, a concerned wife who had grown worried about the quality of her husband's nursing care, who had discovered disturbing footage while reviewing the household security system. Khalid took what he believed was his regular medication before going to sleep that night. He died alone in the apartment on a Tuesday morning at 6:47, 17 minutes before Ananya was scheduled to arrive for her shift. Diana was at a charity breakfast when the call came, surrounded by 50 witnesses, giving a speech about supporting the welfare of migrant workers in the UAE. The detail would later carry a particular and terrible weight. Ananya found the body. She had used her key to enter the apartment, expecting to begin her morning shift. Instead, she found Khalid unresponsive in bed. Her screams brought neighbors. The neighbors called emergency services. Emergency services called the police. The scene appeared to tell a straightforward story. A man recovering from surgery. A complex medication regimen. A nurse with intimate access. But when investigators searched the apartment, they found the evidence of the affair. Gifts, photographs, personal items, romantic correspondence. When they spoke to neighbors, they heard about the long evening visits, the overnight stays, the intimacy that stretched well beyond professional care. Ananya's grief was visible and raw in a way that looked, to people who did not know her, like something other than grief. When investigators confronted her with what they had found, she broke. She admitted to the relationship. She spoke about Khalid's promises. She told them she had loved him. She said she would never have hurt him. Diana arrived at the scene as the grieving wife who had just discovered her husband's secret apartment and the affair she claimed to have known nothing about. Her performance was exquisite. Her tears were real enough. Her carefully prepared answers fit the emerging narrative with a precision that should, in hindsight, have raised questions of its own. She delivered the surveillance footage to investigators days later, framing it as a discovery she had made while sorting through Khalid's estate. The footage appeared to show Ananya administering dangerous doses of medication. Digital forensic experts confirmed the files had not been externally tampered with, because the tampering had been done from within the same system that originally captured them, using methods that left no trace detectable by the tools available to the investigation at the time. The financial records completed the picture prosecutors needed. Bank transfers, a leased apartment, jewelry purchases, all documented, all presented without the context of who had pursued whom and what had been promised. Ananya Nair, a nurse from Kochi who had come to Abu Dhabi to support her family, was charged with involuntary manslaughter, medical malpractice, and fraud. Ananya's trial lasted 6 weeks. The prosecution built their case with a quiet, methodical confidence that comes from believing the evidence is overwhelming. Motive, financial desperation and emotional obsession. Means, unrestricted access to a patient's medications. Opportunity, daily unsupervised care in a private residence. Evidence, surveillance footage, financial records, and the defendant's own admission to the affair. Her defense attorney argued that Khalid had pursued Ananya, that she had tried to maintain professional distance, that she had loved him genuinely and without calculation, that she had administered every medication exactly as prescribed. But without Khalid alive to confirm any part of her account, and with the edited footage painting a contradictory picture, the defense could not create the doubt the case required. The jury saw a foreign worker who had accepted expensive gifts from a vulnerable patient, carried on a secret affair, and ended up as the last person to administer his medications before he died. In her closing argument, the prosecutor said, Ananya Nair came to this country seeking opportunity. She found it in the trust of a man who believed she was there to care for him. Whether through recklessness or intent, she is responsible for his death. Ananya was convicted. 15 years in Dubai Central Prison. Deportation to India upon completion of her sentence. During sentencing, she looked directly at the court and said, through tears that had not stopped falling for weeks, I loved him. I would never have harmed him. Someone has done something terrible and I do not know how to prove it. Nobody in that courtroom believed her. Thousands of miles away in a narrow lane in Kochi, Sumanthi Nair received a phone call that would break something in her that never fully healed. Govind sat down in his workshop and did not get up again for 3 days. Sanjay dropped out of his engineering program. The family that had sent Ananya into the world with such enormous hope was dismantled quietly, by grief, by debt, by a shame they had done nothing to deserve. 2 years into Ananya's sentence, a routine audit of Khalid's estate uncovered financial irregularities significant enough to prompt a deeper investigation. A private investigator hired by Ananya's family, funded in part by a collection taken up by former colleagues and members of the Kerala nursing community who had never believed the verdict, used advanced digital forensic tools that had not been available during the original trial. The analysis revealed evidence of editing within the surveillance files, metadata inconsistencies, audio gaps that aligned with no technical malfunction, timestamp anomalies that suggested deliberate alteration from inside the source system. A whistleblower from the security company that had installed and maintained Diana Foster's household system came forward. Diana had contracted them for specific editing services. The worker had not understood at the time what the footage would be used for. When the truth of the case became clear, they could not stay silent. By the time the evidence was assembled, Diana Foster had liquidated Khalid's accessible assets and disappeared. Investigators traced her movement through 3 countries before losing the trail entirely. Interpol issued a notice. Extradition requests were submitted. Whether she has ever been found is a question that remains, at the time of this telling, without a final answer. Ananya Nair was released and deported to India. She returned to Kochi not as the triumphant daughter her family had once dreamed of, but as a woman cleared of a crime she had never committed, trying to rebuild a life inside ruins that were not of her making. Her nursing license, revoked upon conviction, was not automatically reinstated with her exoneration. The legal process to restore it stretched on for years. Govind's health had deteriorated. Sumanthi had aged in ways that had nothing to do with time. Sanjay was working at a factory and had set aside any thought of university. The woman who had left Kerala with perfect grades, a scholarship, and a mother's prayers sewn into the lining of her suitcase, had returned carrying something heavier than any of them knew how to put down. 3 lives were destroyed in that story. Khalid Al-Farsi's ended by the hand of the woman who had sworn to stand beside him for life. Ananya Nair's was taken from her by a lie told on camera, in a courtroom, by someone who had decided that survival justified anything. And Diana Foster's, wherever she is now, is a life built on the bones of someone who never did anything wrong except love a man who was not free to be loved. This has been Exposed, True Crime Stories. If this story stayed with you, if it made you think about how easily truth can be buried and how long it can take to surface, please subscribe to this channel. Every person who subscribes is telling us that this work matters, that these stories deserve to be told, that the people behind them deserve to be remembered. We will keep going as long as you keep watching.